warm welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Lami Ali. Shagun Ajayi is the sign language interpreter. Let's go for the headlines. Federal governments to train 2 million youths on digital skill innovation for MSMEs. As World Marks Heart Day 2023, team focuses on knowing the heart. Plus, South Africa to roll out vaginal rings to fight HIV scourge. In keeping to the promise of job creation, President Tinubu has unveiled the FGN Alert Digital Skill Innovation Program for micro, small and medium enterprises. Vice President Kashim Shettima at the event said the initiative is expected to impact 2 million youths and 1 million MSMEs. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
The Digital and Skill Innovation Hub is designed to act as a centralized platform for providing cutting-edge digital skills, mentorship and networking opportunities to Nigeria's young entrepreneurs. The initiative, a partnership between the federal government and a commercial bank, is expected to establish digital and skill innovation hubs across states to empower the main targets and other relevant skills.
We are committed to leaving no one behind on this journey towards digital enlightenment. Nigeria, which is expanding MSME sector of close to 40 million, has the potential to lead business innovation beyond Africa. The Skill Innovation Program, therefore, aims to unlock this immense potential. The initiative is designed to provide the necessary tools and skills for our MSMEs to thrive and compete on the global stage.
And this for allowing this wonderful program at this time when the whole world switch from analog to digital economy.
So Nigeria is on its way to becoming a superpower because technology runs the world and we have the engine to help the world power this new development. This is why this initiative is extremely important.
The beneficiaries will be trained on software engineering, product management, business analysis, cloud computing, and product design using specialized resources.
We started with 8 states. We moved to 15, and I'm sure before the next 12 months, this program will have a presence in all 36 states and the FCT.
Keeping our promise to be with you all the way, our longevity and resilience are the results of constant innovation and rebirth. This is why, nearly 8 decades after, we remain at the vanguard of financial services in Nigeria.
Got from Mr. President, he will need us to work a lot with the private sector. And His Excellency has also consistently assured the private sector that this government is ready to provide the enabling environment, the sort of support that the private sector needs.
The program is part of mechanism put in place to revive the Nigerian economy, with banks as key players towards the drive. From the State House, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
Nigerians have been tasked to be objective at all times and hope for better days for the country. Professor Lukman Zakaria gave the charge at the 63rd Independence Anniversary Public Lecture and Special Jumat Prayers in Abuja. Professor Zakaria, a lecturer with the Islamic Department of the University of Abuja, spoke on renewed hope in the face of the social and economic realities in the Islamic perspective. He said the agenda set by President Tinubu will take the country out of its woes if properly implemented. Professor Zakaria noted that Islam emphasizes good governance.
Address, frankly, and people should know that you're serious about this. Sincerity.
Now, just as the drums of activities to mark the 63rd independence of Nigeria heightens in different parts of the country, the largest television network in Africa, the NTA, is also at the forefront of activities showcasing the cultural heritage of the nation. Francis Udojo reports that the yearly Oktoberfest was held at the NTA's arena in Abuja with pomp and pageantry.
Thank you.
This is the mood and enthusiasm that fill the air with lots of children and youths from diverse backgrounds, tribes, culture, and disciplines to mark the 63rd independence of Nigeria. Like those that dream dreams, the memories of the struggle and the day of independence resonated the unity, cultural heritage, and progress of Nigeria amongst children and youths.
But like we go swear, we go rise up. There is light at the end of eternity.
They already anticipate the future from now.
When I wake up, I see Nigeria as a blessed country, but I pray, let the government help Nigeria of before, during the Nnamdi Azikiwe and Murtala Muhammad, please, to make it right now.
And I hope that children will have free education.
I want Nigeria to be as the European country.
I want to be entering free vehicle and coming to school.
This event, NTA said, will serve as an accelerator to national unity and the entertainment industry.
We are here to put hands together to make sure that the independence anniversary is done in peace.
We have to work together, both the youths, the parents, the mentors of the youths. We have to work together to make this country a great nation.
A camera caught the attention of an European Nigerian woman, Lyudmila Adeon, who had lived in Nigeria for 4 decades.
Nigeria is a beautiful place. If Nigerians want to have a future, they have to work hard. From A to Z.
With the collective effort of all of us, Nigeria is going to be better than it is now.
This event showcases the togetherness we have as a nation, as Nigeria.
The Oktoberfest is the 4th edition organized by the NTA. In Abuja, Francis Udojo, NTA News.
In line with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's 8-point agenda, the Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation has commenced a 3-day top management retreat to improve capacity and ensure sustainable management of water and sanitation for all Nigerians. Usman Zubairu reports that the theme of the retreat is strategic planning for achieving ministerial mandates.
Nigeria's constitution has provided a right to basic social amenities, including access to clean and adequate water, as well as proper sanitation. The purpose of this strategic plan is to outline the policies, programs, and projects that the Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation will be implementing during the period from 2023 to 2028. Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation noted that the 3-day retreat will also strengthen coordination, structures, and increase key actors' capacity in decision-making and implementation process in an effort to combat the water and sanitation sector's challenges.
He is trying to put his house in order to ensure that all this aspect of sanitation is taken as keen into the ministry's mandate with a view to come out with a clear mission and vision of the ministry.
For effective plan implementation, the ministry says it's committed to partnership with stakeholders that will enable it achieve its action plan agenda.
The next 2 days, therefore, we will focus on the Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation Strategic Plan and other key policies and mandates that shape our ministry's work.
Confront evolving challenges and shape our ministry's future in line with our vision and mission.
At the end of the retreat, the ministry hopes to come up with the draft plan to fulfill its mandate for the period of next 4 years. In Abuja, Usman Zubairu, NTA News.
Although the federal and state governments are said to be making efforts to improve access of children and learners with disabilities to basic and other levels of education in Nigeria, experts at a 2-day national summit on access to education for persons with disabilities say these efforts are not enough. They recommend the establishment of a national standard operating procedure on disability, inclusive education for persons with disabilities.
This 2-day National Learning Summit has brought together major national and sub-national stakeholders of inclusive education for the purpose of knowledge sharing and experiences in good disability-inclusive education practices and procedures that will lead to improved learning outcomes for children and learners with disabilities.
When you look at the teacher training, the curriculum in the teacher training itself have a lot of gaps that we need to bridge.
Ministry of Education, we are emphasizing access, promoting quality, and strengthening the system. And we need all hands to be on deck to achieve this.
It is also expected that at the end of the summit, stakeholders would have resolved to adopt a community of practice on inclusive education. A sketched outline for the draft on the National Standard Operating Procedures for Inclusive Education.
Inclusive education commenced in 2019 in Lagos State, whereby we're working with the state government to strengthen capacity of education stakeholders, development of inclusive teaching and learning tools to ensure that there is, effective implementation of qualitative and functional inclusive education in the state.
The meeting also aims to nominate members of a committee to develop the national standard of operations for inclusive education in Nigeria. In Abuja, Gufan Shaji Ugwanyi, NTA News.
The United Nations humanitarian team and the Northeast Civil Society Network have made a case for victims displaced by insurgency in the Northeast. This is in the area of inclusivity of victims in the Borno model. Charles Alpha reports they also stress the need for healing and capacity building to bring about stability, sustainable peace and livelihoods in areas affected.
Insecurity in the Northeast had lingered with widespread displacement and destructions of livelihoods, schools, farmlands and infrastructure, coupled with drought. However, with relentless efforts by government, the United Nations programs and efforts by humanitarian organizations, life is steadily returning back to affected areas. This Northeast Humanitarian Situation Retreat by the United Nations team and Northeast Civil Society Network is an attempt to reflect and develop appropriate avenue for advocacy for funding and repentant Boko Haram's members.
13 years of insurgency has exposed a lot of people. They have lost their means of livelihood and so on and so forth. So for us to get it right, I think all of us, we need to come together.
Governments in the Northeast, the federal government intends to partner with them also to make sure that insurgency and terrorism in the Northeast is a thing of the past.
At the end of the retreat, identifying with the Northeast Governors Forum to mobilize funds for the program was one of the resolutions reached. The network acknowledges the military operation which has brought relative peace to the Northeast.
I think your president put Nigeria back on the map, not as a negative country, but as a country that will lead positive change and will be at the forefront of rescuing the SDGs.
The Northeast Civil Society Network in the last 13 years has been in the forefront as first respondent in the Northeast, responding to the humanitarian situations in the region. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
You're watching the news on NTA International. We will take a break now. More stories shortly. Do stay tuned.
The job of making Nigeria great is my ambition, is my dream. To renew the hope of Nigerians, to really bring about changes that will promote unity, equity, stability, and prosperity for this country. It's not a one-man's job. It's a job of all of us.
In a nation rich with culture, diversity, and resilience, we come together to celebrate a significant milestone. On the 1st of October, Nigeria marks its 63rd independence anniversary, a journey of growth and progress under the banner of democracy. For 63 years, the power to choose our leaders has rested in the hands of the people. Democracy has been our guiding light, shaping the destiny of a great nation. Through the highs and lows, Nigeria's democracy has thrived, a testament to the resilience of its people. Under democracy, Nigeria has made remarkable strides in economic development, infrastructure and technology becoming a force to be reckoned with on the global stage. Today, with the renewed hope agenda rolled out, more is expected and will be accomplished for our great good. Nigerians arise, roll out the drums and merry, 63 and counting, more blessings and counting. Happy Independence, Nigeria.
Welcome back. Diversifying the Nigerian economy, creating opportunities and implementing a set of measures in some priority sectors like agri-food, plastics and e-waste is critical to the national transition framework of the Nigeria Circular Economic Roadmap. Charles Alpha has more on the validation workshop organized for critical actors by the Ministry of Environment and the European Union.
Research has shown that in waste lies great economic opportunities, and attendees here believe it could even lead to increased economic activities and create additional jobs if a national framework towards actualizing a circular economy roadmap of Nigeria is unified. Statistics shows that Nigeria, with a population of over 200 million people, generates about 32 million tons of solid waste every year. This, the Environment Ministry believes, presents circular economy business opportunities across the waste management value chain.
The scope of the study is basically to carry out feasibility studies of all circular economy and natural capital accounting activities in the country and develop a circular economy roadmap to guide Nigeria's transition to a more circular economy.
The European Union delegation to the Federal Ministry of Environment and the government of Netherlands are assessing the level of the policy and are interested in supporting Nigeria's adoption of plastic waste operationalization policy for a greener planet.
But it's also, and I think, an important aspect that we are looking at is the economic development.
Today's activity, being a validation workshop, is so important because it provides a national framework that every state in the country can then domesticate.
Creating a path to a circular economy, they believe, will build more resilience that will prevent future disruptions from scarcity to biodiversity and climate change. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Now, stop for a second. Hold your breath. What can you hear? That is the beat of your heart. The heart is the engine that holds the key to life and therefore should be kept safe. This, the Minister of Health, State Dr. Tunji Alausa, says, is the essence of the World Heart Day, to give the heart the care it deserves.
Use heart, no heart is a theme of this year's World Heart Day. It is aimed at increasing awareness on cardiovascular diseases, prevention and their global impacts. The campaign focuses on the essential steps of knowing one's heart and how to protect it.
And we are particularly interested in giving advocacy for a national emergency action plan that can reduce significant deaths resulting from sudden cardiac arrest and heart attack. As you all know, sudden cardiac arrest is an emergency in which one's heart suddenly stops beating. It can turn fatal in just a few minutes.
Minister of Health states, while noting that heart diseases contribute to about 10% of deaths in the country, reminded Nigerians to keep off things that are injurious to their hearts.
Also enjoins us to show care and compassion to people who suffer from heart problems. It reminds us that taking care of our heart and those of others is not only a medical necessity, but also a fundamental act of love and care for our loved ones.
The message is for people to eat healthy, get active, maintain a healthy weight, quit smoking, and stay away from secondhand smoke, as well as regular blood pressure checks. Basi Taita, NTA News.
Still on health matters, vaginal rings to prevent HIV will soon be rolled out in South Africa, which reports say has the largest epidemic of the virus in the world. The Global Fund to Fight AIDS, Tuberculosis and Malaria said 3 groups involved in the fight against AIDS in the country have, with its support, placed an initial order of 16,000 rings that are expected to be available in the coming months. Justin Bemunyi reports.
The silicone ring, which is worn constantly and replaced monthly, releases dapivirine, an antiretroviral drug. The Global Fund said the initial rollout will serve as a first step to increase access to treatment and make the rings readily available in a country where almost 8 million people live with HIV. Antiretroviral drugs help contain the virus and prevent it from infecting others and have been key in curbing the spread of AIDS over the past couple of decades. Recent studies have shown that the ring, which has been endorsed by the World Health Organization, is safe, easy to wear, and significantly reduces the risk of infection. The ring has been approved and subjected to implementation studies in a number of countries across the continent, including Uganda, Kenya, and Zimbabwe. UNAIDS investigations have shown that this year, women and girls have accounted for 53% of all HIV infections. Globally, women are disproportionately affected by HIV in South Africa, accounting for 64% of the 7.4 million adults living with the virus in the country. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
Voters in Eswatini cast their ballots on Friday in legislative elections, despite recent and deadly pro-democracy protests, which are unlikely to change the politics of Africa's last absolute monarchy. Again, Justin Bemunyi reports that more than 500,000 people are registered to vote in the southern African nation, where King Mswati III has ruled for 37 years.
Some trickled into a modest local school turned into a polling station near the lavish royal palace of Luzinzini, about 25 kilometers from the capital Mbambane. Voters are choosing 59 members of the lower house of parliament, which plays only an advisory role to King Mswati. Formerly known as Swaziland, Eswatini was shaken in 2021 by pro-democracy protests that were violently subdued by security forces, with dozens of people killed. However, on Friday there was no sign of turmoil. Street vendors quietly set up shop on the pavements outside polling stations as voters came and went. In Luzinzini, many wore traditional clothing, sandals, animal skins, and a colored cloth tied around one shoulder for the men, a dress and a scarf over the head for the women. The results, to be announced within a few days, are seen as a foregone conclusion by the opposition, which has largely called for a boycott of the vote. Political parties are banned in the country between South Africa and Mozambique, and lawmakers cannot be affiliated with political groups. The Constitution emphasizes individual merit as the basis for selecting members of parliament. While it allows for freedom of association, opposition groupings are often run from abroad. Candidates were nominated during village councils by traditional chiefs close to the king. Bem Unyi, NTA News.
The wife of Gabon's ousted President Ali Bongo Ondimba has been charged by an investigating judge for money laundering and other offences. This is coming a month after a coup toppled her husband. Sylvia Bongo has been under house arrest in the capital, Libreville, since the coup in the oil-rich nation on August 30. Her house arrest order has also been upheld. Their son, Nuruddin Bongo Valentin, has already been charged with corruption and embezzling public funds with several former cabinet members and 2 ex-ministers. Bongo, 64, who had ruled the Central African country since 2009, was overthrown by military leaders moments after being proclaimed the winner in a presidential election. Now, the leaders of 9 Mediterranean and Southern European countries are meeting Friday in Malta with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen for talks on migration. The summit coming a day after EU interior ministers finally made headway on new rules on how the bloc handles asylum seekers and irregular migrants. Reports say Paris is hoping Friday's Med9 summit will offer a clear message on migration at the European level. Up next is weather updates. And that does it on the news. We thank you for watching. We wish you a beautiful weekend as Nigeria marks our 63rd journey into nationhood. I am Lami Ali, and our sign language interpreter has been Sunday Ajayi.